Hello, my royal lovelies. Welcome back to the channel, and of course, welcome to my home. Today, I want to get stuck into a story that has been developing over the past 2 or 3 days. I'm kind of glad that I had the weekend to mull this story over because it has developed, and even there has been developing stories on it today. And that is, of course, about Prince Harry and Meghan and where they are going to spend Christmas, or where, rather, I should say, they would like to spend Christmas. So, there's always talk about who is going to spend Christmas with the sovereign. Back when Queen Elizabeth was sovereign, that was always the case, and now that King Charles is sovereign, that is still continuing. What has not changed is the location of where the royal Christmas is due to be held. So Sandringham is where, for many years now, that the royal family Christmas has been held. Prior to Sandringham becoming the tradition, it was spent at Windsor Castle. But Sandringham is where King Charles has decided to continue that long-standing royal tradition, which developed under Queen Elizabeth II and, of course, the late Duke of Edinburgh. So, first of all, Sandringham looks like an absolutely humongous palace, really. And it's not. It's a rather large mansion country estate house. But it is not, don't be deceived, it is not terribly large when it comes to accommodation within inside. So there are lots of rooms, but quite a few of the rooms are taken up by staff. So when it comes to hosting everybody for Christmas, it's not always possible. Her late Majesty did like to extend an invitation to, some of her extended family, but traditionally she hosted a party a week or so before Christmas, where all of the extended family would come to meet, and then only those kind of immediate family would be at Sandringham for Christmas. So, pan to about a few days ago when we had a story come out that was quite unexpected about Harry and Meghan sort of putting out there that they would accept an invitation to Sandringham for Christmas. Now, bear in mind, they have not had Christmas with the royals for a many number of years now, sort of since they stepped back. So this was kind of highly unusual. I don't think anybody was expecting them to sort of pipe up and almost put out that they wanted to be invited. And I think that is the kind of key part to this. They want to be invited. So I've got a bit of information to kind of read about that, and we'll discuss all of these different things further. So there has been suggestions that the couple would be willing to accept an invitation to spend the festive season in Britain. It was also suggested that they would be willing to accept an invitation to Balmoral in Scotland during the summer. So this has kind of been put out, I think it was by almost Harry and a source told the Times. So I'm thinking, I'm kind of astounded at the turn of events. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. So we know that for the King's 75th birthday, that there was this rumoured telephone conversation. Now, of course, we don't know for sure whether that was true or not, but from Harry's camp, what they have put out is that there was this conversation on the phone. Meghan joined in, Lilibet and Archie sang happy birthday down the phone. I know many of you from the comments of previous videos have doubted that. I cannot corroborate whether or not that is true, but that is what is being put out. So that is what I can say. I can say what is being spoken about. So we've got that, which kind of hinted at perhaps a thawing slightly of relations between the King and Harry, not necessarily between brothers, between William and Harry, but from the King's point of view. And we know that the King is not necessarily a character that likes confrontation. He has been involved in confrontations throughout his life, but he doesn't, I don't think, court them or enjoy them when he is embroiled in them. So I think as a peaceful person of nature, I think Charles most definitely would want to improve things, but things have been very difficult for the king to improve when the behaviour has been the way that it has, coming from Prince Harry. So perhaps there was a thawing, but then after that we had all the kind of the extract come out from the cheerleaders book that is due to be released, which could potentially have set things back further, because there's certain information in there that really could only have come from those involved or those close to those involved. And as we've known from a previous book that the cheerleader co-wrote, that there was authorization from Harry and Meghan to cooperate, for friends to cooperate with the author. So, I kind of felt from, more than a few days ago that perhaps things started to improve and then kind of went a little bit pear-shaped when the extract came out. And of course, I'm talking about the king, I'm not talking about from William's point of view. So I was quite surprised when this came out, and it seems to me Harry and Meghan are trying to position themselves. We know that their venture with Spotify came to an end, because I think largely to do with output. Bearing in mind, Harry and Meghan, I said before, I do not think they are creative people. Acting, of course, Meghan, previous actress, is an art form, but it's not necessarily creative in terms of the idea. You are reading a script that someone else has prepared, you're following directions that the producers are giving you to do, and the director. There's a certain amount of creativity with the character, but other than that, you are not actually creating the piece of work, you're being involved in it. And when you look at it, Harry and Meghan have not been very creative in the past. The Bench, the book that she wrote, well, there was already one very, very similar that it is said that she kind of copied. Harry with the Invictus Games was based on the Warrior Games. Harry's magazine, her Vogue cover, was loosely based on a very similar idea and concept of one that was already taken place in the USA. So when you look at it, they are not very creative. And when you're running a kind of creative company, then that's not really good. What I think they've got coming up is they bought the rights to something, a book that they hope they are going to make into a movie or a TV series or something. But again, they had to buy in the ideas. So they are struggling, I think. And I think what they know now, maybe what they're realising, is that by behaving the way they are negatively, Retribution, score settling, has not gone down well for their brand. And that, like what I said in previous videos, I think they would have been better off just knuckling down, getting on with it, and sorting things out privately between the family. I think that would have actually been better for their brand. As it is, we are where we are, and I think they have been advised to kind of get some good and positive royal connections in. So this is when we see the news coming out that, we would be open, we would accept an invitation to Sandringham for Christmas. We would accept an invitation to Balmoral for the summer, when Balmoral has been a place that they've avoided for years. Even when the Queen was alive, before the pandemic, they said they didn't want to go to Balmoral, and instead, they said they were unable to go to Balmoral because of Archie's age at the time. A few days later, they were hopping on a private jet, Elton John's paid-for private jet, going to stay with Elton John and David Furnish. So they have shunned Balmoral for a number of years. And it's curious as to why now they suddenly would like an invitation to Balmoral. Well, it's the royal connections. Their royal connection magic is wearing thin. And what they want to do is to top it up and, get some of that royal magic and gravitas back. And what better way to be seen than the spectacle that is the Christmas day, sort of walking from Sandringham to the church on Christmas morning. Those images are beamed around the world. Happy families with the royals, the king reunited with Archie and Lilibet after all this time. And then in the summer, you know, who's going to Craffykirk Church? You see them arrive in the cars, probably photos. I mean, they might even bring their own press photographer. You know, Meghan fishing in the lake, all those things. You know, I can see it now. So it's a PR stunt. But what it tells me is that they were not invited, because if they're saying, and they're putting out there directly or indirectly, that they would accept an invitation, it tells me that they haven't had one. And that must kind of be rankling a little bit. It also tells me that perhaps Harry is feeling a little homesick, perhaps. Perhaps some of the LA glitz and glam and lifestyle is maybe wearing a little bit thin. Who knows? But anyway, they want an invitation. One was not offered. And that's kind of where we got to. Now, I'm going to skip to an article that came out the following day, which kind of alluded to the fact that Prince William and Catherine would not be open to Harry and Meghan spending Christmas with the other royals. Now, we do know that William and Catherine from time to time do spend Christmas with the Middletons. They haven't done for a while, but like I said, you know, Sandringham is only so big, so the Middletons potentially could be invited to Sandringham at Christmas, but I don't think so. I think the Middletons will have their own Christmas as they normally do, and I think that, you know, William and Catherine will visit them over the festive period. But I think William and Catherine's plan for this year would always have been, especially, you know, still kind of within that first couple of years of the King's reign, I think they would want to be there at Sandringham. Also, their country home, Anmer Hall, is only a stone's throw away. So they normally stay at Anmer Hall, which frees up room at Sandringham for other family guests. So I think that's William and Catherine's plan. However, if it was true, and let's just say there was an invitation offered and they accepted, I don't think William and Catherine would feel in the mood to kind of, you know, be seeing happy family pictures on Christmas Day with Harry and Meghan. So that leaves that scenario. Let's talk scenarios. So that scenario would, I suppose, leave William and Catherine with a couple of choices. One, they suck it up and they go to Sandringham with Harry and Meghan. Two, they maybe go to the Middletons instead. Three, they could even choose to host their own family Christmas at Anmer and not go to church. Or they could even go to Sandringham for the dinner with Harry and Meghan but just not go to church. They could even stay at Windsor and invite the Middletons over there. So there's a few options, and there's probably more options than I haven't even thought of. So there's a few options. But what's coming out is that William and Catherine would not be happy with that. Then it came out that there had not been an invitation extended to Harry and Meghan, which I think we all kind of deduced from the first day. And then and then, by the way, like I said, the royal Christmas is planned so far in advance that for that story to come out that they wanted an invitation, it definitely shows that they haven't been invited. And that to change plans at the last minute is possible, but is not likely because of the amount of planning that goes into a royal family Christmas. So then, step to the news that's come out today, which is why I'm glad that I waited. And I do think that this story today has come out as a kind of rebuttal from behind the scenes about the stories of the past 2 days. So, what I think we're seeing today is the truth of the whole situation. So, major alterations are claimed being made to the royal family's Christmas celebrations at Sandringham this year, in the first significant change of arrangements since the passing of Queen Elizabeth. King Charles and Queen Camilla will stick to the tradition of attending church on Christmas morning on the Norfolk estate with the Prince and Princess of Wales and other senior members of the royal family. So, there ends the speculation. But the guest list of those attending Christmas lunch back at Sandringham is being radically altered and will include many members of Queen Camilla's family for the first time. Although that will mean a change in the location of the festive meal to accommodate all of those extra guests. And it claims that Prince Harry and Meghan will definitely not be there. Well, anything is possible. With Harry and Meghan and the royal family, anything is possible. But it's expected at the moment that they will not be going. Queen Camilla regularly hosts her children and grandchildren at her private home in Wiltshire, which is called Ray Mill House. And she still maintains that house to this day. But a royal source, now we don't know what the source is, with knowledge of this year's festive arrangements at Sandringham said the Queen has invited her children and grandchildren this year, which is different from previous years. Now I find this quite easy to believe because of their involvement at the coronation. So it makes perfect sense to have them involved at Christmas. Camilla has 2 children and 5 grandchildren. The additional members will mean that the Christmas table will have to move from the dining room to the ballroom. So Queen Elizabeth favoured the dining room, but the ballroom is much, much larger. If you can remember the footage of them dancing in the Gillies Ball from many, many years ago, I do believe that is the ballroom. So it is much larger and should be able to accommodate all of the guests. So last Christmas, a few extra members of Camilla's family meant an extra table was needed in the white drawing room. But this time they wish to all sit together, so it will relocate to the ballroom. Now, last week, Prince Harry's aides shared with select news organisations that he was planning to have, and then did have, a private phone call with his father, King Charles, for his 75th birthday. They also, as I said previously, leaked the news, the rumoured news, that they sang Happy Birthday down the phone. Buckingham Palace has, of course, declined to comment on private family communications, but it suggested that the Sussexes were keen to share the news of a thawing in relation between the king and younger son. Again, we'll have to kind of wait and see. Time will tell about that. I've also heard talk that there have been some renovation plans for Sandringham and some of the properties on the Sandringham estate, including Wood Farm. So Camilla's sister, the Queen's sister, Mrs. Elliot, who is very close to Camilla and was through her side during the coronation service, is helping to refurbish many of the rooms. So she is an interior designer and has worked on previous renovations, including some rooms at Dumfries House. So the renovations will include the accommodation at Wood Farm. So that's the home on the Sandringham estate where Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, spent most of his time before his passing, or sort of after his retirement. The king also wants to spend more time at Sandringham, like his father did, and will likely stay, we think, at Wood Farm as well, rather than having to open up the entire house. So Annabel Elliot, Camilla's sister, is an interior designer and an antiques dealer. So she knows what she's talking about. A little bit more information. This year, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are expected to stay at Wood Farm, which I think will be quite nice. So yes, Sandringham is a very different place under the reign of King Charles. I'm going to kind of sum this video up now. Personally, I don't think Harry and Meghan are going to come over for Christmas, or, well, I'm not going to say about Balmoral, that's a little bit far off yet in the summer, but for Christmas, I don't think they are coming. I think that they definitely wanted to put out there that they would be open to being invited, kind of because they want that touch of royal magic back. All these, the projects that they are alluding to, they need that little bit of royal gravitas. And I think that's their way of doing it. And also, I think it must be a little bit lonely, almost kind of royal exiles. And there are a lot of similarities between the Duke and Duchess of Windsor and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. If you actually look up kind of how they kind of didn't really visit the UK much after, of course, the abdication, it's very, very similar. And of course, Harry and Meghan do not have a UK home anymore. And it's not just that simple of just rocking up and turning up at a royal palace or a royal residence and saying, we're here. We're here. Let us in. They have to plan ahead and they have to get permission. The king has made it known that that they are welcome and that they will be accommodated, but they need to ask. They need to get that permission in advance. Plus, there is the security issue of which Harry is still not happy. He still does not have automatic security rights when in the UK. And that also goes for the rest of his own immediate family. So Harry still deems the UK a very dangerous place. I mean, it's laughable. It really, really is. I mean, as if Harry is going to get... nothing's going to happen. And the likelihood is that as soon as he arrived in the UK, there would be police escorts to and from wherever he was staying anyway. They'd just put it on, I would imagine. So I think he's kind of stomping his feet a little bit unnecessarily here. If it was deemed a massive security risk, they would have come to a different conclusion, I think. Anyway, that court case is ongoing and we'll see how that goes in due course. By the way, I am wearing today my royal finery. We are wearing the honeycomb tiara, the Greville tiara, and we are wearing the Australian wattle brooch, of course, all royal replicas. Okay, I know many of you are going to have your opinions on this, and I want to hear all of them. So there may also be bits of information that I've missed or things that I have forgotten to say in this video. So please let me know all your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Also, it really does help the reach of this video if you've got social media outlets like Twitter or X as it's known now, or Facebook, or you're a member of a Facebook group that is royal based. It really does help if you share this video in those groups, just to give it a little bit of traction. So thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So until next time, from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.